Hello, everyone. So good morning, good afternoon, and thanks for joining the webinar. So before starting, I will introduce myself. So my name is Vinod, and I work as a solution consultant with Simplex. And I would like to introduce my colleague as well. So I have got Janine with me, and Janine is our marketing lead, and she'll be acting as a moderator in the backend. So in this webinar, I will explain how the performance of your AP team or your accounts payable team can be enhanced using an automated invoice processing tool. So please note that in the demo, I will be focusing more on an inbound invoice, but what will be the document that you're dealing with, whether it's a sales order, a delivery note, invoice, purchase order, so what will be the document? Yeah, obviously our solution can be used to automate the workflow, right? So coming to the agenda, I will start with an overview where I will explain what's the cost involved to manually process a single invoice. So the key idea is to highlight the importance of automation and why you should automate your inbound invoicing process. Then I will move on to the current issues, basically the bottlenecks that are there in manually processing the invoices. And then I will move on to the solution where I will explain how Compleo Hybrid, that is our solution offering, can automatically process your inbound invoices. And then we will be having a solution demonstration where I will show you how the end-to-end invoicing process, right from retrieving the invoice from your supplier side, processing it, and finally integrating it to your ERP, how that particular process can be automated using our solution. And then I will explain a bit about the key benefits of integrating Compleo Hybrid to your system. And finally, we will move on to the Q&A session where I will answer all your questions. So during the course of the webinar, feel free to furnish all your questions through the chat window, and I will try to answer almost all the questions in the end, right? So how much does it cost to manually process a single invoice? So all the facts and figures mentioned here, it's based on a report by Gartner. And as per the report, the cost of manually processing a single invoice can range between 4 to 25 pounds. And if you're dealing with a complex set of invoices, with invoices in multiple format and also invoices with multiple pages and also with multiple tables, which needs to be comprehended, yeah, obviously the cost can be as high as even 50 pounds. So traditionally, in order to tackle this issue, companies normally outsource their inbound invoicing process to third-party vendors, right? It can be an offshore vendor or an on-site vendor. But this approach is not practical in the long run because obviously, when you outsource your business process, you need to manage or maintain an IT environment, and you need to pay the maintenance fee every year, and you need to separately manage a communication channel. And also, if your vendor is located offshore, yeah, obviously there will be a difference in time zone and the communications won't be prompt, right? Also, a lot of tools, software tools are available in the market, which can be customized to meet your inbound invoicing needs. So this point is very important because I have seen companies investing a lot on market leading products, but down the line, maybe after 1 month, they will get to know that the solution cannot be customized to meet their requirement. Then they will restructure their business process, and then they will align or they will link their restructured process to the features and functionalities of the tool that they have purchased, right? Which is not at all an efficient process, I would say. So it's always better to go for a customized POC or a customized demo and make sure that the solution can be customized as per your business requirement and not the other way around. And also nowadays we are getting a lot of regulation compliance from both public sector and private sector, right? It can be something like the invoice can be sent in a particular format only, maybe something like a PDF with a particular layout, or it can be something like the invoice can be sent only in a machine readable format, an XML file, or it can be even like, okay, the invoice needs to be uploaded to a government portal before sending it to the customer, right? So it's up to you as a customer. It's up to you to update your system so that it will be in a position to receive an invoice in a format as in the same format being sent from the supplier, right? And this process, it cannot be implemented within a day or two. You need to plan well ahead, right? You need to go for a customized demo or a customized POC and make sure that the product can be customized based on your requirement, right? And then you need to test the product in your environment, and finally you need to go live. So that's why companies are moving towards, so they are, they are enhancing their business process through automation, right? So in the ongoing session, I will explain how your inbound invoicing process can be automated. So here, I will speak a bit about the bottlenecks that are there in manually processing an invoice, right? So suppose you're the customer and you're dealing with a lot of suppliers, right? So you'll be receiving different invoices in different format from all your suppliers, right? It can be in a text format, or it can be in a PDF format, or it can be even an Excel file, right? Or else it can be also a document in a machine readable format. So if you're manually processing an invoice, how are you going to deal with a document which is in a machine readable format? It's not possible, right? And also lack of transparency is there. Suppose one of your manager, ask a question about the status of a particular invoice, right? Or even the supplier, ask you about the status of an invoice. Yeah, obviously, if you're dealing with the soft copy of the invoice, yeah, you need to go through the different invoices saved in a folder. Then you need to pick the right invoice. Then you need to manually check for the status, right? Obviously, it's gonna take a lot of time. And if you're dealing with paper-based invoice, yeah, obviously you need to go through the file copies of the paper-based invoice, and you need to manually retrieve the status. So real-time status of the invoice, it's not available. Also, if you're working with, say, even thousands or even 5,000 invoices per month, and you'll be under a huge pressure to meet the deadline, right, for processing the invoice. In that case, when you manually enter all the details to the ERP, obviously you're going to make a lot of errors. And another point is that it's very difficult to track the errors, right? And also, when you're manually processing an invoice, it's going to take a lot of time, a considerable amount of time. So I would say, suppose you're the customer and you're waiting for an invoice from the supplier. The supplier will be sending an invoice as an attachment in an email. Then you need to monitor your mailbox, and you need to download the invoice as and when it is received. Then you need to validate the invoice, whether all the fields are there, and do the three-way matching and everything. And finally, you need to manually enter all the information to the ERP. So obviously, it's gonna take at least 15 to 30 minutes to process a single invoice, right? So these are the high-level bottlenecks, and I'm not going into the details because all of you are aware of the bottlenecks or the pain areas that you're facing, and that's the main reason you're attending the webinar, right? So moving to the next slide, here I want to highlight some of the channels through which the supplier will be sending the invoice to the customer, right? So here I will start with the first channel. Here the supplier will be preparing a PDF-based invoice. After that, it will be attached to an email and sent across to the customer, right? Now, the customer user need to monitor the mailbox, and as and when it's received, the attachment, the invoice will be downloaded and it will be validated, and finally, it will be manually entered to the ERP. Now, coming to the second channel, there will be a customer portal that can be integrated to the supplier's ERP. So whenever the supplier releases an invoice in the ERP, it will be automatically retrieved and it will be made available in the customer portal. Again, the customer needs to manually download that particular invoice, again, do the same step like validation, and finally, manually entering all the information to the ERP. I would say this process is 40 to 50% automated, but yeah, obviously there's still a manual intervention happening, right? And coming to the third channel, it's an outdated process, but still some of the companies are using this approach. Here, the supplier will be sending a paper-based invoice, using a mail service. Now, once the paper-based invoice has been received at the customer side, yeah, the customer needs to convert it into a digital copy through scanning. And after that, he needs to manually enter all the information to the ERP. Now, what will be the channel mentioned here, our solution can be used to automate the end-to-end process, like retrieving the document from the supplier, then processing it and automatically, entering all the information or integrating all the information to the ERP. So in the ongoing slides, I will explain how it's being done. Now I will speak a bit about Compleo Hybrid, that is our solution offering. So Compleo Hybrid, it's a suite of product or a collection of modules, I would say, which works together towards a common objective. It can be like processing an inbound invoice or processing an outbound document. So whatever be your business process, Compleo Hybrid can be used to automate the same. So here, Compleo Hybrid can retrieve the documents from the supplier side through different channels, like I have mentioned, right? So in this case, I have mentioned some of the channels. So Compleo Hybrid can monitor your mailbox. So as and when an email is received from the supplier with the invoice as an attachment, it can be automatically retrieved and processed based on the business process. Here, Compleo Hybrid can also monitor a shared folder or a particular folder. So as and when we upload a document, say for example, an invoice, it will be automatically retrieved and it will be processed, right? Again, Compleo Hybrid can be directly integrated to the supplier's ERP. So whenever an invoice is being generated in the supplier's ERP, it will be automatically retrieved, right? So after retrieving a document from the supplier side, Compleo Hybrid will upload the document to Azure Form Recognizer. And here, Azure Form Recognizer will be trained using sample and historic data to identify the supplier and to identify the invoice based on the supplier name, after which the necessary information will be extracted and it will be sent back to Compleo Hybrid in a structured JSON format. Now, Compleo Hybrid can process the extracted information and it can integrate the information to the customer's ERP. And here you can see something called validation and signature. So once the data has been extracted, Compleo Hybrid can automatically configure the workflow slide. It can be a validation signature, it can be an approval cycle, it can be a multi-level approval cycle, then it can be something like furnishing an e-signature or introducing a QR code or barcode or whatever be the internal business process. It can be automatically configured using Compleo Hybrid, right? Now we will move on to the demonstration, but before the actual demonstration, I will give you a high-level overview about the schema that we have considered for demonstration, right? So here, the supplier will be sending a PDF-based invoice to the customer, and Compleo Hybrid will be retrieving the invoice, right? Automatically, it will be retrieving the invoice. So in the demo, we cannot, show you how Compleo Hybrid is integrated to the supplier's ERP, right? Because it happens, API-based integration happens in the backend. So here we will upload the invoice, or the supplier will upload the invoice through a SaaS-based web portal so that it will be automatically retrieved by Compleo Hybrid at the customer side. So once the invoice has been retrieved by Compleo Hybrid at the customer side, it will send the invoice to Azure Form Recognizer, where the data, the required information will be extracted from the invoice and it will be sent back to Compleo Hybrid. And then it will move on to the next activity. So before that, you can see something called as a confidence score in the schema, right? So confidence score is basically the accuracy of the extracted data. And it's something that we can manually set, right? So suppose you are dealing with a perfectly structured invoice, then you can set the confidence score as high as even 98 or even 99%, so that the extracted information will directly go to the next step. So if the confidence score is below a particular value, then a particular user from the customer side will be receiving an email notification mentioning that you need to manually cross-check the invoice, the actual invoice, with the extracted value through a web-based interface. But normally it won't occur. The occurrence of such an activity, it's less than 0.05%, I would say, because when we implement the solution, Azure Form Recognizer will be automatically trained, with sample and historic data, so that it will be able to extract the information with a very high confidence score. So here we have configured a scenario wherein a manual intervention is needed, but in the actual case, it won't be there, right? We just want to show how the solution works. That's all. And here, the customer user can manually cross-check the extracted value with the actual value in the invoice, the actual invoice. And if he's okay with that, he can click OK, or he can just make some edits, to the extracted fields and click OK, right? Then we will move on to the next stage, that is validating the invoice against the delivery note and purchase order, which is basically the three-way matching, right? So here, again, the customer will be receiving an email notification mentioning that a document is pending your validation and the inbound invoice needs to be validated against the delivery note and the purchase order, right? So here the customer user can again log in through a web interface. You will be able to compare or validate the invoice with the delivery note and the purchase order. So here, in this case, the delivery note and the purchase order will be retrieved using a unique identifier. And in this case, it will be the PO number, right? So the PO number will be constant across the three documents. So once the customer is, okay, he has validated the invoice, it will be automatically saved. The invoice will be automatically saved to the back office system. That is the SAP B1 in this particular demo, right? So we will move on to the demonstration. And to start with, I will play the role of the supplier and I'll be having an invoice, as you can see over here. Now, what I will do is that I will open the invoice. So this is the invoice and you can see the purchase order number, that is 1259. And here you can also see that I have introduced a handwritten text. It is basically to highlight the capability of a solution. And at the customer side, I will show you whether Azure Form Recognizer was able to extract the handwritten text from this invoice, right? So all the description, item numbers, and the total cost, everything is there. So this is the invoice that I'm gonna send to the customer side, right? Now I will close it and I will log on to the web-based SaaS portal. And yeah, I do have the credentials with me provided by my IT team. So I will log on to the console using which I'll be able to send the document to the customer. So I will log in. I will click form review. And there's a particular tile that has been configured with the invoice workflow. I will open the folder and I will select the invoice, drag and drop the invoice here. Now I will, it's uploaded and I will send the files. Here you can see that the status of the document has been changed, or the invoice has been changed to uploading document. I will refresh it and now it's shown as in progress. So ideally, at this moment, the customer might have received an email mentioning that a new document is waiting for, for the customer to intervene, right? Now I will move on to the role of the customer, and I will, as a customer, I will check my Outlook whether I have received any email or not, right? So as a customer, now I have, I'm accessing my Outlook, and yeah, I'm just refreshing my mailbox. I can see that I have received an email mentioning that a new document is waiting for my intervention. And I'm also provided with a link to access that particular document, right? So I will click on the link where I will be redirected to the Compleo Hybrid. And here I can see the latest invoice waiting for my review, right? You can see the status. I will click on that. So here, in the left-hand side, you can see the actual invoice sent by the supplier, and on the right-hand side, you can see the extracted value. The values extracted by Azure Form Recognizer. Here, the PO number has been extracted correctly. Same with the company name, the document date, and also you can see that the handwritten text has also been extracted correctly with a very high confidence score, right? Beside the fields, you can see 99%. That's the confidence score. Similarly, beside all the fields, there's the confidence score given, and I can see that it's around 99%, right? So the extracted information is correct. The tabular column has been extracted. So I'm okay with that, and I will click OK. Now, yeah, to validate, yes. Now we will move on to the next activity. You can see that the status of the invoice has been changed to reviewed. And this means that we are moving on to the next activity that is validating the invoice against the delivery note and the purchase order, right? So actually, I might have received an email. The customer user has received an email mentioning that a document is pending your validation. So I will, again, as a customer user, I will check my Outlook. Yes, I have got an email here. Invoice number 1259 of Dell demo has just been verified and is waiting for your validation to be integrated into the invoicing software. So the document has been received for validation, and here I do have a link using which I'll be able to access the document, right? So, yep, so here's the link, and I will just click on that particular link. Here you can see that this is a security feature. So whenever a user need to access or want to access a particular document, he needs to enter a 6-digit unique code, which will be received in the configured mobile number. So normally it's applicable to external users only, but I just want to highlight our security feature here. That's why I have included this particular feature for the internal user as well. So my mobile number is already configured there, and I will just click on send SMS. And I'm just waiting for the unique code to be received in my mobile. So I have received the code, and now I will enter the code, that is 780 and 587. I will click submit. So the customer now is able to review the document or validate the invoice. So this is the invoice that you can see in the screen, and the PO number is 1259. And if you scroll down, if I scroll down, you can again see the delivery note and the purchase order, right? So the PO number is 1259. Now I'm just scrolling down. This is the delivery note, and yeah, PO number is 1259. And this is the actual purchase order, and the number is 1259. So the documents are linked with each other, and also the description and the total cost is same across the document. So the customer can now validate this particular document, right? Now, here the customer is provided with 3 options. Here you can see it towards the end of the screen. He can either reject this invoice, or he can just delegate it to another user, right? And include the name of the new signatory and the email address of the new signatory and reason for attribution. So I'm not going to delegate it, so I will click cancel. And since I'm happy with the document, I will validate. You want to validate? Yes. So here, since I have validated the document, yeah, it has been successfully validated. Now, ideally, I'll be receiving an email mentioning that since the document has been validated, the extracted information will be sent to the back office system, that is SAP B1. So I will just check my Outlook again, whether I have received any email. Yeah. Here, yeah, Dell demo invoice number 1259 has been integrated into the SAP B1. Now I will log on to SAP B1 and I will check whether the invoice is, the draft invoice is there or not. So I have already logged on to the SAP, and I will open the menu item, click on purchasing, then yeah, sales and purchasing draft, and I will move on to the latest document. That's draft number 374. Okay, I will open the document. So here you can see that all the information provided in this particular view, it has been extracted from the invoice sent by the supplier, right? You can check the item number, the different line items, and also you can check the total amount. It's the one and the same. So all the information has been extracted from the initial document or the initial invoice sent by the supplier, right? So we have done the end-to-end automation, right from retrieving the document from the supplier side, processing it, extracting useful information, and finally saving all the details to your ERP, that is SAP B1, right? So like I have mentioned before, in this case, we were dealing with an inbound invoice, but in the actual case, we can, whatever be the document that you're dealing with, whether it's a sales order or a delivery note, whatever be the document, our solution can be used to automate the flow, right? Now I will move on to the benefits of automation, and you can see that we have done end-to-end automation, and there won't be any manual intervention. So the occurrence of error, it can be reduced, right? And also what used to take around 15 to 20 minutes or even 30 minutes to process a single invoice, it can be completed within seconds, right? You have seen in the demo. So when you automate your inbound invoicing process, you're no longer using a printer or you're no longer using a scanner, to convert a paper-based invoice to a digital copy, right? And also your no need to manage your AP team because they'll be manually entering all the information to the ERP. So no need to manage that particular team as well, right? So this means that you are saving a lot on the operating cost. Also, since the end-to-end process is automated, the documents or the invoices will be processed within the deadline, and you'll be able to meet the early payment discounts if at all there is any. And also, you won't be faced with any penalties for the late payment, right? So here we have reduced the error and we have saved a lot of time. This means that the overall efficiency of the process has been increased, and also your AP team can focus on value-added tasks, rather than manually entering all the information to your ERP. So since you have processed the invoice well within the deadline and you were not faced with any penalty for late payment, yeah, obviously it's gonna enhance or optimize your relationship with the supplier, right? So these are some of the benefits associated with end-to-end inbound invoice automation. Now, I will speak a bit about Simplex Limited. That's my company. So till date, we have dealt with around 3,500 customers across different sectors, both public and private, right? So we have implemented our solution to public sector as well, like especially for councils across the UK, which is very much, document intensive, right? And we are well aware of the different bottlenecks and the workflows that are there in different industry. And we do have a customized solution that can, cater to that bottlenecks as well. And we do have 8 offices across the globe with around 80+ employees working across all our offices. And recently we have opened an office in Singapore. That means we are in a position to provide 24-hour support to all our customers. So on an average, we do have 12 years of customer loyalty. So we do get more and more business from our customers, and we do have technology partnership with 3 companies. So we do have partnership with IBM, and we do have silver partnership with SAP, and also we do have gold partnership with Microsoft, right? So towards the right-hand side, you can see a pictorial representation of our solution offering. So just to give you a high-level overview, we provide enterprise e-invoicing solution, then a digital and electronic signature solutions, then a EDI-ready solution, and also we are into digital data and document transformation solution as well, right? Now we will move on to the Q&A session, and have got some questions through the chat window, so I will just try to answer them one by one. So I will start with the first question. Does someone need to manually check the extracted value every time? So if my understanding is correct, you're referring to the manual intervention wherein the customer user manually validated the extracted value from form recognizer, right? If that is the case, like I have already mentioned, actually we configured a scenario wherein a user from the customer side has to manually intervene, right? Ideally, we will train during the actual implementation. We will train Azure Form Recognizer with your sample and historic data, so that it will be able to correctly identify or extract the information with very high confidence score, right? So basically, manual intervention won't be there. So we just configured a scenario just to show you like how the solution works. That's all, right? And now I will move on to the next question. So what's the pricing model, and do we need to make any changes to the SAP system to integrate Compleo? So the pricing or the commercials, it actually depends upon a lot of factors like the number of workflows, the quantity of the documents that you deal with, and so I'm not in a position to mention the commercial as of now. We will have an individual face-to-face session where I'll be able to understand that your requirement, based on which maybe I can provide a code, right? And coming to the second question, I can see that you are using a SAP environment as your back office system. And we do have standard SAP connectors using which our solution or Compleo Hybrid can be directly integrated to your back office system without any ABAP development, right? So no need to do any customization in your existing SAP environment. I know it's costly, right? If at all you are going for any web development, it's gonna cost a lot of money, right? And just since you have asked for the commercial aspect, suppose if you want to customize the output from your SAP document, and if you're going for ABAP development, it's gonna cost a lot. But instead, if you're going for Compleo, it's highly cost effective, and it will cost only 1/10 or even 1/20th of what you need to pay for the ABAP development, right? Now I will move on to the next question. So can the solution meet end-to-end e-invoicing requirement? So it's a high-level question, I would say, because the invoicing requirement can change from different country or from different geographical region, right? So basically, our solution can retrieve the documents or the invoice from the supplier side, irrespective of the format, right? Whether it's a machine-readable format or a human-readable format, PDF, Word, Excel, whatever be the format, our solution can automatically retrieve the document from the supplier side, and it can be customized based on your internal workflow or based on the e-invoicing requirements. And finally, it can be archived, it can be saved, or it can be uploaded to a government portal based on the requirement. Just to give you an example, we have already implemented, it's on live, a solution. It's for the SADCA invoicing requirement for a couple of our customers, a couple of our global customers. So SADCA invoicing requirement, it's for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the deadline for implementation is fast approaching. So we have implemented the solution. So similarly, in Europe, the invoicing requirement will be different, right? So based on your requirement, yeah, our solution can be used to customize to your invoicing needs. So I do have 3 to 4 questions remaining, but I have just breached the deadline. So obviously, I will contact you through an email with my response for the remaining questions. So if you want any further information, you can always contact me. I have provided my email ID and my contact number, and also you can connect with me through LinkedIn, right? So once again, thanks a lot for attending the webinar, and thanks a lot to my colleague Janine and also Omlade who helped me with the demo, right? So thanks a lot, and have a great day. Bye.